As technology continues to advance and change, it has also changed the profession of law enforcement. These technologies come in the form of communication, documentation, and training methods. In this edition of Spotlight on Bowling Green, we'll explore the newest technology systems that are helping Bowling Green police officers perform their jobs more efficiently and effectively. One of the newest technologies the Bowling Green Police Department has utilized is body-worn cameras. Their main purpose is to record an officer's interaction with the public.
Initially, the city started using body cameras back in 2012, and it was to assist documentation of the canine officers primarily, some of the work that the actual dogs were doing. We needed some better documentation of that, and also some of the calls for service they were involved in. And then with the implementation of in-car camera systems, there was also usefulness with the motor officers. On the motorcycles, there's not enough room for an in-car system like we have in the cruisers. So the body camera was a good tool for them to document the traffic stops that they were using. Back in 2015, there was some discussion among city leaders and also, I guess, nationally and here, how could body cameras aid the transparency of the agency and also some of the accountability. The decision was made to deploy it to the entire patrol division. Essentially what the camera does is it records their interaction with the public on calls for service. It's going to record whatever they're doing or whatever they're saying and to some degree the circumstance that they're facing. So for them it's a way to document their work. After each call for service they're required to categorize the video, and so depending on what type of call for service they were on, they then have to make sure that it's documented properly. There are obviously some privacy issues that we have to make sure that we have taken into account and have some processes in place to protect their privacy. The cameras record anytime that an officer is involved in a citizen contact, so that can be a call for service or a traffic stop. They're recording those interactions, and so for court purposes, those interactions are not edited or redacted in any way. But if someone were to file an open records request, what we have to look at is, does the public interest in releasing that video footage outweigh the person's privacy, individual privacy interest? We do have some laws that guide those decisions, and we also work with the city attorney. We have a technician that her job is to make sure that those videos are redacted. The video is pixelated or blurred to where the images are unrecognizable, and also for the audio to make sure that the critical information or the private information, even the words, are muted. For example, if I walk into somebody's home and they're private residents and they're reporting a theft, there is no public interest in knowing what is inside that person's home. So the technician is going to blur everything in that house. We make an effort to make sure that things that are private remain private.
There are many benefits to using body-worn cameras, both to the officers and to the public.
There are several benefits to using body cameras in the field. First off, it shows that we're a transparent agency. You know, some agencies don't have body cams, some may not go to them for quite some time. But in this day and age, you know, the public, they scrutinize different aspects. So if anything were to happen, if we have a complaint on us or if we have use of force, then our sergeants can go back, other officers can go back and review the footage.
In the field, the body cameras basically back up what we are saying happened. Like if something happened or somebody made a complaint and we tell, you know, our supervisor, hey, this happened, I said this, they said this, the body camera will back that up. Because some people sometimes just don't agree with an outcome of a call and they call in and complain, and they may not always be truthful about what actually happened and what was said, and the body camera corrects that and gives them basically a perfect picture of what was said and what actually transpired.
It's interesting to get almost an objective view of someone's actions. So as a supervisor, if we have an officer that has maybe a training issue, we can actually show them through the video some things that they can do to improve their performance, or maybe some tactics that they're using incorrectly. And so almost immediately you get an insight into officer performance that you really don't unless you're on the call for service with them. So from a training standpoint, it's been really useful and beneficial. We've been able to correct some things pretty quickly. It is sometimes it's difficult to watch yourself on a video, but it is also, if you're open to improvement, those things can really help make officers aware of things that either they're doing really well or maybe they can improve on.
Another good thing is say that you're on a high-profile call, such as a rape. You know, whenever you're the investigating officer, you're the first one on the scene. You're trying to take in all the details. And at times you may miss the little small ones, like you may miss a name or you may not jot it down quick enough. So it can also be beneficial for detectives because then they can come back, watch the video camera footage from earlier, grab the details that the initial responding officer wasn't able to.
Advancements in technology have made it possible for an officer's patrol vehicle to be used like an office, giving them more time out in the field.
The forms of technology I use every day as an officer is I have a laptop and my computer that I use to document incidents. When I respond to calls for service, I also have a printer to print documentation out.
We also have cell phones that we actually use now to take pictures of evidence, and we log it into the computer down here.
I have a smartphone which I use to communicate with citizens when I'm answering calls for service. It can be used to document photographs and respond to emails and record certain events.
On a daily basis, I always use my radio to communicate with other officers, communicate with dispatch. It's the quickest form and the quickest way to communicate with basically everybody that I need to talk to immediately.
And I have a dash cam inside my cruiser which records incidents that I respond to in the cruiser as well.
My police cruiser is pretty much my office. I basically live out of it 8 hours a day or 10 hours if you're on the second shift. But everything is in there that I could possibly need. I have snacks, which is a necessity sometimes, especially if you're at a call that's going to be lengthy. I have different equipment that may be needed throughout the shift.
It's where I'm at most of the day because I have to go to every call in the vehicle. That's how I get from here to there. I don't really spend a lot of time at the station, so everything that I need I try to keep in my cruiser. I have extra pens, extra Post-it notes, notepads for information. Everything that I can get from the station is pretty much in my cruiser all the time, so I don't have to come back here all the time.
Working from the car saves a lot of time because it doesn't require the officer to drive back and forth to the office after each service call. So that definitely saves the department money and fuel, and also the upkeep for the maintenance that you would drive with the mileage. And having worked at another agency in Warren County, I can truly attest that it saves a lot of time. It leaves you out in the street or in your beat longer where you can respond to calls. It makes us more efficient.
I can take a report from an individual, get back into my car, then type out the report. I can actually submit it. I can print it out if necessary through a Wi-Fi network to my sergeant's printer back here at the station. I can also create barcodes for evidence inside of my cruiser, and then I can come back down to the station whenever I'm available and log it in.
And when I do my paperwork, I'm sitting in the car. I don't always come down here and do it just because we're just too busy. And some people, they ask if we just sit in the parking lot and wait for a call, if we're just always designated to one parking lot, and I'm like, no, we're always doing something. We're actually busy doing paperwork, trying to catch up, and it's all about time management and how you use your time. So usually if you see somebody sitting, sometimes we're looking for traffic violations and stuff, but in a church parking lot, way off in the back, you're probably, they're doing paperwork.
The recent purchase of a use of force simulator has made it easier to train officers using real-life scenarios.
The Kentucky League of Cities has a force simulator that they schedule with various departments across the state, and so each agency would get the force simulator for a short period of time, and in that time they would be expected to get as many officers through the training as they could. And we found that there was a lot of benefit from that technology but we also found that we never had enough time and had great difficulty getting everybody we wanted through the training in the short time that we had. So there was a request made for that technology. It was a lot of money. We were very pleased and excited when that expense was approved. Every officer will get trained on this technology. There are, I think, actually hundreds of different scenarios that we can place officers in a room in a controlled environment, and they're going to be using equipment that closely mimics their actual tools that they use on their job. So we can place them in decision-making scenarios where there's no chance anybody's going to get hurt, and we can evaluate how they address the situations. And so from a training standpoint, it's really, really invaluable to us.
The benefits of using the use of force simulator is it prepares us for those moments when our life is on the line and we have to make split-second decisions. It also challenges our decision-making skills, and it also develops life-saving skills, which is very essential to become a law enforcement officer.
You have to process it as if you were out on the streets. You have to think quickly. You can have like shooting scenarios where the suspect is on the screen and he's sitting here talking to you like I am right now, and then he'll just pull out a gun or he'll pull out a knife and he'll start shooting, and you have to immediately just think.
The use of force simulator gives us an opportunity to carry out other scenarios that we may not face every day in Bowling Green. Because of the size, we don't really have the same crime rate as somewhere like Louisville or Chicago. It gives us a chance to keep honing our skills and training, and it doesn't take very long. So I think I spent maybe an hour in there from the street, and I still get extra training from it without taking up a whole day or taking me completely off the street. We still have those opportunities to get training in here and there whenever we can.
We can have a member of the training staff turn on that machine at 3 a.m. and run them through some scenarios, and they don't have to come in on their day off or when they normally would be sleeping. We can accommodate their sleep cycle a little better, which is important for them to absorb some of that training value. I would like to add that we are, as always, appreciative of the community support that we get in Bowling Green. We have a lot of really nice equipment and technology, and we know that doesn't come free. It's through the support of the community, and we certainly want to be worthy of their trust.
For more information on this or any other Spotlight on Bowling Green program, call 270-393-3000.